All right. So earlier on, we had 12 bases. Now we have 16. So earlier on, we have 18 now. Earlier on, I already mentioned the internal, external base, which is same. Now you have 6 consciousness. That's in terms of, we call it 6 plus 6 plus 6, you got 18. But actually, consciousness is actually more than 6, definitely. Because in Abhidhamma, we have 89 or 121. So you have I. Now, here we call it element. Element is, in Pali, is called Dhatu, right? So you have Dhatu. Earlier on is Ayatana. Ayatana is base, right? So in fact, you got I element, okay? I didn't put the Pali. If you like, you can write down Chakku Dhatu, okay? That's all. I'm not going to write out the Pali, but just for you to know, we are talking about Dhatu now. So Chakku Dhatu, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body. So in fact, 12 bases and 80 elements is a very good Vipassana practice. You can practice it anytime. When you are standing, sitting, you are lying down, you are walking, you are talking to people, you are go to toilet, you are remaining. So because it's very applicable. And also one thing is we will discuss later. I'll just briefly talk about now. One thing is you can see anicca. Very good. Because when you talk about consciousness, you can see how it comes and go very fast. Like when you hear something, you smell something. So all the consciousness appear and disappear very easy. Another thing is when you see all this, you understand there's no I, no self. All these are just take place by themselves. Now, here is under the mind, we have three here. Three consciousness, we call it mano. Remember here, dhatu, dhatu, dhatu. So the mind is called mano dhatu. Now, mano dhatu, later you explain, is actually have 1 panchadhara vajana, 5 door everything, and 2 sambadhichana, 2 receiving. So you have 3 here. And then you got the base, visible object, sound, smell or odor, taste or flavor, tangible object. And then it say made of 3, we'll explain later. Mental data or Dhamma Dhatu. So these are easy for you to understand because it's like the 12 bases with the corresponding consciousness. So with the I, visible object, you got the I consciousness. This you can understand when you see something because there's an object, there's an I. Then sometimes we call it seeing consciousness arise. Then ear and the sound, ear consciousness. Nose and the smell, nose consciousness. Tongue and taste flavor, tongue consciousness. Body and tangible object. Now, tangible object means something that touch the body. Even the cotton touch the body. But because the impact is so little, we normally don't feel the cotton. But anything touch the body, you can feel it. So we call it tangible object, all right? And then body consciousness. Now, here we put 2. Remember when you study the Abhidhamma? Anybody remember why we have 2 I? Start from Chai Hun. Why do we have 2 I consciousness?
One is a kusala, one is a akusala vipaka.
Okay, so one belong to kusala, one belong to akusala, right? Yeah. So one is kusala vipaka, one is akulasala vipaka. Now, remember last time when we talked about Abhidhamma, I hope you still remember. When do we know it's kusala? When do we know it's akusala? Remember, Chai Hun?
When we see the pleasurable object.
Oh, yes, so it belong to kusala. So, for example, what is pleasurable object?
Meaning things that we see will lead us to do good things.
What kind of things?
Maybe when we want to pay respect, maybe we see the flowers or see the Buddha statue.
Oh, see, yeah, something pleasant to the eye,
pictures.
right? So, a flower or Buddha statue, right? Now, akusala vipaka will be what kind of object?
Maybe somebody we don't like, or
Yeah,
or
something we
some
don't
dirty
like,
places,
or some dirty thing like dog shit, dog
smelly
vomit,
things.
and something, right? Yeah, okay. All right. So yes. So you got two. Same also eye, ear, nose. Now, when people study like this, so the first instinct they thought is, hey, maybe I got two eyes. Okay. That's why, because I got two eyes, that's why I got two eye consciousnesses. But it's not to do. Now, normally they will, the first moment they study, I'll be like, yes, I got two eyes. Yes, I got two ears, but I have only one nose. Okay. But I only got one tongue, right? But actually, it's not talking about the two eyes or 2 ears. It's talking about two kind of consciousnesses. One belong to kusala vipaka, means a wholesome resultant. Another one akusala vipaka, unwholesome resultant. That is actually all this consciousness. In fact, we call it, it's a passive one because it's a vipaka resultant. So for those, if you never study Abhidhamma, you have to try to learn some Abhidhamma by yourself or watch the past YouTube recording. If you want, I can pass you the notes. All right. So I think this is easy to understand. Now, so the mind, mano dato, you got three. Fido everything and then two receiving. Fido everything is the consciousness that arises uh before the like for example in the eye process, after Fido everything there will be the what call it, the eye consciousness. So after eye consciousness, then there will be receiving. So in fact, if you look at it, it seems to take place before and after the eye consciousness. Right. So anyway, just leave it like that because we are not going detail into Abhidhamma. Now, Dhamma. So previously, we also see the Dhamma in the 12 bases. So it's a big object here, many of them. Now, how do we get 76? Other remaining consciousness. So it call it Mano. You see the terms different. This is called Mano Dhatu under this place. And this is called Mano Vijnana Dhatu. So 76. How you get 76 is because you have 89 chitta. So when you minus 3, you got how many? How many? You said you got the 86, okay? Now you minus the 10, the 10 above. All right. So you minus the 10 above. So you got 76. So is the remaining consciousness apart from the mano dhatu and apart from the this we call it the 5 set of consciousness, pancha dve vijnana, 5 set of consciousness. So you got 89 minus 3, 86, minus 10, you got 76. All right, this is as much as we can do for Abhidhamma. That's all. We are not going to detail. This is just some information because later the explanation they will come out this number also. All right. Okay. Now, what we try to learn is in Visuddhimagga, it's more on how do we practice meditation, even though there are some Abhidhamma facts here and there. Okay, now we start from this. I'll read. Then after that, we will take turn to read 21. So the paragraph you can find in the book also. Furthermore, while the self of the sectarian does not exist with an individual essence, not so this. These, on the contrary, are elements dhatu, since they cause a state on individual essence to be born. They are distinguished from each other by dissimilarity of characteristic, so too the general terms elements should be understood as used for the constituents of the selfhood personality called the pentad of aggregates. 22. Furthermore, element is a term for what is soulless, and for the purpose of abolishing the perception of soul, the Blessed One accordingly taught the elements in such passages as Bhikkhu, this man has 6 elements. Right? So what the key point is, why do we call it dhatu? Because they cause or they born This is a causative. They cause the state, means that each state have their own individual essence, individual characteristic, in a way like it. So normally this kind of dhatu, when you also can find inside the 5 aggregates. So that's the meaning. So the dhatu you can find in the 5 aggregates. But the main purpose of dhatu is we want to know solar. Solar means non-self, anatta. Right? So why do we want to know anatta? Because we want to abolish the atta, the atta ditti. All right? Atta ditti means the perception of soul. That is why the Buddha, in many sutta, actually you can find in many sutta the Buddha talk about this, sometimes 12 bases, sometimes talk about 5 aggregate, sometimes talk about this 18 dhatu. All right? Now, what's the meaning of they have their own individual essence? Means that all these have their own characteristic of function. Like, for example, eye is to see. The visible object is something we can see. Eye consciousness perform the function of seeing. So the eye is not same with ear. The object, the visible object is not same as sound, right? You can see all these have their own function, their characteristic. That's why we call it, they have their own essence, individual essence, right? For example, nose. The nose is not same with eye. You cannot use the eye to smell something. Only the nose will smell something. Right? The smell odor is not same with the sound. The nose consciousness will perform the smelling. So it has its own function, individual purpose, characteristic, and so on. Okay, now do you understand the meaning? Individual essence. All right. So it means that they are how do you call it? They will behave according to their function. That's the meaning. For example, let's say just a wordy example. Let's say if you have 5 children, all the 5 children you have, they will perform differently. They will behave differently because they have their own individual essence. That's the meaning. Okay, so this cover the paragraph 21 and 22. Okay, Sister Kahong, now can you read this one? 24, number 3. 24.
Thank you, Saji. 24.3. As to order, here too, from among order of arising, etc., mentioned above, 14.211. Only order of teaching is appropriate. It is set forth according to successive definition of cause and fruit. 13. For the pair, eye element and visible data element are the cause and eye consciousness element is the fruit. So in each case,
I think, okay, we can stop here.
okay,
All right,
okay.
okay.
That's,
So maybe we can
thank
see
you.
this one. Okay, now, order arising, we mentioned before, like how things arise. But here, we are not talking about how it arises, okay? We are only concerned about order of teaching. Order of teaching means the way of teaching. Like the Buddha teach this sutta. Why is it? Because the Buddha want to tell us what is cause and what is result, cause and fruits. For example, eye element visible data. These are cause. Eye consciousness is the fruits, right? So you can write above like this. These two are okay. How to merge it? So these are, we call it the cause. So the Buddha teach eye and visible object is the other causes, and these are the fruits or result. So this is called the order of teaching, means by teaching, order of teaching. Right? Because normally in many sutta you can see the Buddha will teach eye and visible object, then ear and sound. So actually when we practice this one, we understand the Buddha teaching and we understand why the Buddha want to say like this. If the Buddha don't want to teach the order of teaching, he will say the consciousness first. No, but normally he will take the eye and object, then the consciousness arise later. Okay, so that's the thing here. Now, okay, next one, 25. Sister Heng? Yes. 25.
Yes, Saiji, can hear?
Yes,
Can hear me?
yes. Yes, okay.
As to just so much, as just so many, the world of many elements, of various elements, that being so. Why is the classification only made according to these 18 instead of making it according to all of them? Because as far as individual essence is concerned, all existing elements are included in that classification. Furthermore, they are stated as
Yeah, you can continue. Yes.
Furthermore, they are stated as 18 for the purpose of eliminating the kind of perception to be found in those who perceive a soul in consciousness, the individual essence of which is cognizing, for there are beings who perceive a soul in consciousness, the individual essence of which is cognizing.
Okay,
And so,
okay, thank you. Yeah. Now, when we say the world of many elements, all right. So you can see I skipped, there are some paragraph, I skip it. So if we go to Visuddhimagga, so let me open the book first. So the path of this path of purification, actually it gives the listing of many okay. So this book is actually, I hope when you have time, so you can read yourself. Okay, now I skip a lot because there are many things, many elements mentioned here. Right? Now you can see there are so many elements. So all these sometimes they do explain in the sutta. Right? All the way to even the boundless space, boundless consciousness, all these are four arupa is also called element here. Even like sensual desire, evil, cruelty, renunciation, non-evil, all these are so called element. Then the pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, all these are also called element. Okay, and there are many things here. Then even the earth, water, fire. So all these are called elements. So elements means dhatu. Dhatu means, like mentioned just now, there are many things that exist by themselves. For example, the Patawi, Apo, Tejo, Wire, earth, water, fire, wind, they exist, they have their own characteristic. But why is it the Buddha mentioned only 18? Because all the existing elements are included into that characteristic. All right. So it doesn't mention about what classification. So I will assume you're talking about this 18. Or maybe we can refer this to the 5 aggregates. Because 18 elements, if we sum up, everything will include in the 5 aggregates also. And then also now, we already say we want to abandon the perception of soul. Now, some people, they see soul in consciousness. In consciousness, all right? Normally, okay, let's see. People, because we will not see, we will not say, maybe they will not say, oh, the body or the eye, the ear, nose, tongue, body. They will not take all these material things. They will not take all these rupa things as soul. But sometimes they think that maybe in their nama rupa, this one of these consciousness or all these consciousness are soul. Right? Because some soul is something that we don't see. They thought that in this material body, the consciousness that operate is a soul that control things. Like you want to see this, you want to do that, you want to do this, you want to eat this one, you want to go to attend some ceremony or whatever. It's a soul. And this soul is all this consciousness. Okay. This means that we don't see means they don't see the material as soul, but they still cling to their own consciousness as soul. Do you all get the point? Because some people, let's say for example, nama rupa, right? Some people will take their rupa as soul. Some people will take their nama. Nama means mind, the chitta and cetasika as soul. But some people only take chitta, consciousness, as soul. Can you follow? Okay. Okay, now. Okay. And so the Blessed One, who was desirous of eliminating the long inherent perception of a soul, has expounded the 18 elements, thus making evidence to them not only consciousness, multiplicity. This one means that there are many types of consciousness, not only one. All right. So when we class them as eye, ear, nose, tongue, and body, consciousness elements, and mind, mano dhatu, and mind consciousness element, but also as impermanence. Its impermanence, which is due to its existing independence on I come visible data, etc. as condition. All right. So first we need to know not only one consciousness, but we have many, many consciousness. But all these consciousness are impermanent because when they get the condition, we call it the I. So we go back to just now. So when there's I, when there's visible object, then the consciousness arise. I consciousness arise. It arises, but it's impermanent. Why? Because depend on condition. So after it arises, it disappear. Now, even though we thought we see things for a long time, our eye is the same eye, but we are talking about the we call it those retina, right? The cell or kalapa or whatever, the small matter. All this matter, like in Abhidhamma, we say they arise, pass away, they arise, pass away. So there are many small lupa kalapa, arise, pass away, arise, pass away. Okay? And all these, even though we thought them as permanent, but the material group, small material group like kalapa, they will arise and pass away all the time. So if they arise and pass away all the time, so the result, the I consciousness, actually, it has even a shorter lifespan. In Abhidhamma, if you remember, 17 consciousness in one Vidhi process. Yeah, so that's the meaning. Okay, now, okay, we read the 33 first. Okay, Sister Chai, read the 33. Yes.
33.
Yeah.
What is more, the inclinations of those who are teachable in this way have to be considered. And in order to suit the inclinations of beings who are teachable by a teaching that is neither too brief nor too long, 18 are expounded. 34.5. As to
yes.
reckoning, the I element, firstly, is reckoned as one thing according to kind, namely eye sensitivity. Likewise, the ear, nose, tongue, body, visible data, sound, odor, and flavor elements are reckoned as ear sensitivity, and so on. But the tangible data element is reckoned as three things, namely earth, fire, and air. The eye consciousness element is reckoned as two things, namely profitable and unprofitable, karma result. And likewise, the consciousness elements of the ear, nose, can't see,
Okay.
Tongue, and body. The mind element is reckoned as three things, namely 5, door averting 70, and profitable 39, and unprofitable 55, resultant receiving. The mental data element as 20 things, namely 3 immaterial aggregates, 16 kinds of subtle matter, and the unformed element. Mind consciousness element is reckoned as 76 things, namely the remaining profitable, unprofitable, and indeterminate consciousness. This is how the exposition should be understood as to reckoning.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so we go for 33. So here is inclination. So when Buddha teach, sometimes for, let's say if he go to the heaven, he teach the Abhidhamma, he teach very detailed. But for normal people, in most of sutta, actually when you look at the sutta, sometimes it can be short, like 18 dhatu, 18 elements is enough already. You no need to learn all the 28 methods or 89 consciousness and so on. 18 are just enough. That means that it's not so detailed. It's not so brief. It's not too brief. It's also not too long. So 18 is just enough for you to practice for your vipassana. It's just enough for you to understand. Okay, now, first one, I element. Now, when we say the I element, what is I element? I element in, we call it, it's not the whole I, all right? For those who learn Abhidhamma, we are not talking about the I. We are talking about the what? Chakupasada. Chakupasada means the eye sensitivity. Okay, eye sensitivity. Okay, where is the eye sensitivity? So that is the retina, right? So it's the one that capture the image. So it's actually, when we say the physical eyes is a big one, but actually it's the retina that's really receive the image. And so on with the ear is the inner one. And then the nose, there will be some sensitive part in the nose that receive. It's not the whole nose. So it's not the whole ear. It's not your physical ear, the big one, but inside the one we call it, how we call it? The sensitive part. I don't know what is the English also. How do we call it? Anybody know the name?
Eardrum.
Eardrum?
Yeah,
Okay.
eardrum.
Okay. Okay. So the nose, there will be some part of the nose that can receive the smell. The tongue is not the whole tongue. It's only should be on the physical, on the upper side. Is it on the upper? Or some part of the tongue that can receive the flavor. Now the body, we are not talking about the whole body. We are talking about skin. The skin that has a sensitivity. It's not the dry or not the dead skin. Dead skin, for example, your hair or your fingernail. So all these are dead skin. So it will be the skin that be able to receive the impact, right? So that's the meaning of sensitivity. So eye sensitivity, ear sensitivity, nose sensitivity, tongue sensitivity, body sensitivity, right? So you find if you want to know more, you have to look at the we call it in the lupa, all right? So there's a one, I think we where is it? Right? In the lupa 481. 439. Okay. So if you go for the 439 in the material, for example, okay, you see, eyes sensitivity, right? So they were talking about the ear, the nose, the tongue, the body. Okay, now, all right. So on the point 47, on this page, the previous page, you will see the eye sensitivity, right? So I think we previously go through now ear sensitivity inside the ear hole. Nose sensitivity, all right, inside the nose hole. Tongue sensitivity, according to here, it said the tongue sensitivity is middle, right? But actually, it should be on the whole tongue, because the whole tongue there's a taste bud that be able to get the taste. So body sensitivity is actually found everywhere, the whole body, and so on. So for this chapter on aggregates, you can find some information, or you find any Abhidhamma book. You can read more about the matter here. Okay, so let's go back to this one. Right, so today I will just need to go through here first. Okay, I think we still have plenty of time. All right, let's go. All right. So, but the tangible data element is only 3: earth, fire, and air. So this only 3 here. So this means among all the 4 great elements, only 3. Not the 4 great elements, only 3 only. So you have earth, fire. Air means wind. So this means that it does not mention the water. I think you all remember when I was talking about this in the Abhidhamma class. You have earth, Patavi, Tejo, and Vayo, but there's no mention of water. Only these 3. So then the commentary, they also give some explanation and so on. Anyway, that's how we get the 3 here. So this belong to 3. But I think it's so far, if you practice meditation, you no need to think about, oh, there are 3. But the earth, when we say the characteristic of earth means like hardness, softness, you can find when you touch the body, anything touch the body, they will have the impact. So when they touch the body, the impact we can say as earth. So when they touch the body, they will have their own temperature, either heat or cold. Okay. And then A means some motion, right? So anything touch the body, there will be a touching sensation. So if we can take it like this, then it's easier to understand why we have earth, fire, A for the tangible object. So all the Abhidhamma books say like this, but it's actually not really say only 1, 3 only. Okay, so that's why for this part you have some Abhidhamma point here and there, right? So we already mentioned my element and this one, right? And my consciousness element is a 76 we mentioned just now. Okay, so from this part is if you look at the table above, so it's easier for you to see to understand this paragraph 34 is trying to explain in detail what are those things. Like for example, eye consciousness, like we mentioned before, one is profitable, is a kusala. Another one is unprofitable, vipaka, karma result. So it's either, like I mentioned, kusala, vipaka, or akusala, vipaka, right? So like when we say, when you see good things, so it's a kusala vipaka, profitable karma result. When you see bad things like ghosts or car accident or horror things or some bad things, so like shit and dung, all these are akusala vipaka. All right. This is more on some category here. All right. I think we today definitely we can finish this topic today. Now, here is according to this book, we need to see condition according to patana. You all remember we talked about there's 24 patana. All right. So, yeah, in Visuddhimagga also